Hi, my name is Ann Edenfield-Sweet. I'm the Executive Director of Wings and Wings for Life. And tonight, I am also your speaker. I'm going to talk about a subject that is very important to me, holidays. I love the holidays, and I hope you do too. And the holidays are special regardless of any time and wherever you are in the world. But with a husband in prison, which I had, he had a 15-year prison sentence, and I suddenly found myself with the $3.5 million IRS lien and 4 little boys, 7 and under. I had to get very creative for the holidays. And so I'm going to share some of the ideas that I came up with. Some of these might be helpful for you. Some of them, you say, I don't have anybody in prison. Well, we all need to be wise with our money, I think. Maybe you're away for the military, or maybe you have moved to another community and you can't get together. Maybe COVID is an issue and you're afraid to get together with a lot of people. And so we're going to talk about the holidays and how you can, some things that I've learned and I've learned from other people over the years, and hopefully this will help you a little bit to make your holidays just that much more special. So, first of all, with somebody incarcerated, I really found out in a hurry that you don't want to visit on the day of a holiday. Basically, that prison or that jail looks exactly the same. At my husband's prison, a federal prison, they put up a little wimpy tree and a couple little decorations and some cheap little tinsel hanging around the room. Other than that, the visitation room is exactly the same. And if we are teaching our children that every Christmas or every birthday or every Mother's Day or Father's Day or Easter, whatever the holiday is, that we go to prison, what is your family tradition becoming? And tragically, I've asked way too many people, hey, Christmas is coming, what are you going to do? Oh, we're going to prison. We always go to prison to visit our loved ones on Christmas. Now, I'm recommending that you go to visit during the holiday, but certainly not on the day of the actual event. So certainly not on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And then if you do go on that particular holiday, Christmas or Thanksgiving or 4th of July or whatever, those are the days that the inmate might actually get a special meal. So the last thing you want to do is take away from the opportunity for them to have a special meal. So I always recommend that you try to visit. When Christmas came around, we always visited after Christmas and kind of around the New Year's time. That was a free time for me. I had some time off and the kids were out of school, and that was a good time to visit. So definitely think about that. So when should you visit your loved one around the holidays? Well, you have to consider your time off. You're the caregiver. When do you have time to go do this? Are the kids in school? You don't want to pull them out of school. That would be a terrible thing to do. And you want to check about special visiting hours, because prisons and different facilities have special hours sometimes during the holidays. And you've got to make sure that you're going at a time when you can go. And now, of course, with COVID, you've got to make sure that you can even go to the prison. Make sure. For Thanksgiving, I never went on Thanksgiving. That's on a Thursday. But I would try to go on that weekend because, again, I was off, the boys were off, and so we could go and we could visit. And then I always made it into a special trip because going to visit in prison is not really fun. You don't get to sit and play games and eat all the wonderful food. You have to eat all those vending machines, and it costs a fortune. And I was living at $800 a month. Last thing I had was a lot of money to have for the boys. But I did do special treats for them. And so we would eat out. Of course, we had to eat out, dinner. And so I did not begrudge them. They wanted to order something extra, we did it, because I wanted to make sure that this was a special time for them too. And I've already talked about Christmas visiting between perhaps Christmas and New Year's. Now, gifts and gift giving. As soon as my husband got arrested, I had to talk to my family because we had been in the mode of I would buy for the nieces and nephews, and the aunts and uncles would buy for the boys, and so we had all these gifts and all this exchange. I had to call all of them and just say, this has to stop. I cannot afford to do any of these gifts. I'm going to be lucky to have Christmas myself, and I can't put that pressure on myself to try to get gifts for anybody else. So that is a really good thing to do right off the bat, whether you have somebody in prison or not. If you can't afford to give to other people, just say, look, it's not about the gifts. Or if you want to do some tiny little gifts, handmade cards. Now, that my husband in prison, he didn't do the leather works, but he had other people do it. So he made some things for us. He had some of the inmates draw really special cards, and then he wrote special poems or letters or something to each one of us. So he did do something special like that. For me, for gifts for my husband, I found that magazines, he really enjoyed some magazines. And so I would order magazines for him. That was something that I could do, and I could encourage other people to do. It could get shipped in directly from the publisher. I didn't have to worry about it. And I knew how much I was spending. And of course, the magazines I ordered were not that expensive. Books, again, they have to come from a bookstore. So again, you've got to go through a legitimate bookstore. You cannot mail in, to my knowledge anyway, to any prison a book out of your library. It has to come from a publisher. Photos, you could possibly send in photos. They are becoming very restrictive on colored envelopes and stamps and things like that going into the prison. So check with your loved one, because as drugs get more prevalent and they figure out new ways of getting drugs into the prisons are cutting down on a lot of the mail going into the prisons. And then consider if your loved one says, well, you've got to come and see me. Well, that might be your gift, because for me, the gift of a tank of gas to go see him and a tank of gas to come home, a motel room, and all those the food to feed all the boys, and have money for the vending machines, that was the gift to my husband. I didn't have the money. I was living, like I said, on $800 a month. And I just did not have extra money for a lot of these things. So don't get put into a guilt trip about what you're going to have to do, because things have changed and you don't have the money and you might not be able to do. And certainly I could never do everything that I would have normally done for Christmas. And it just had to change. And now when I talk to my boys years later and they say, well, Mom, we had great Christmases. And so they didn't know as a child. All they know is some of the things that I'm going to be sharing here in a little bit. And one of them is the importance of traditions. I am a firm believer in traditions and creating your own traditions. In fact, I was on the phone with my daughter-in-law, my new daughter-in-law, and her mother last night. And we were talking about we're going to start a new tradition. We're going to join them in northern New Mexico, and we're going to go up the week before Christmas because they can't all get together over Christmas, and I'd be back in Albuquerque with my boys. And so we're going to create a new tradition. And we came up with an idea. We're going to make a Christmas card or a Christmas ornament that everybody's going to participate and add to, and we're going to put the year on it. And then every year, the grandkids will be able to look at that card and say, well, we made that way back when. I'll make sure that everybody that has had something to do with that card or that ornament writes their name on it. And so we can look back over the years, because all of us aren't going to be there over all the years. And so what a wonderful thing. I'm excited about that new tradition. Now, for us, in my family, I made a Swedish coffee bread. My grandma made it, my mom made it, and so I made it. Well, then when I had no money, what was the cheapest thing of going? Making Swedish coffee bread. So it's a braided bread with nuts and brown sugar and a little glaze on top. It's real pretty and it's delicious. Well, the boys and I started making these breads. Last year, I think we made 24 loaves of bread and gave them away to all the families. And over the years, this has become kind of a tradition. We get together, everybody helps make it. It's fun, it's delicious, and we have breads to give, but it's very inexpensive gift as well. But who bakes breads these days? We do, so it becomes a special gift. Of course, Christmas cookies. Again, I had no money, but I had the 4 boys and I loved to bake. I used to be a home ec teacher. So we made cookies, and we made, I think one year we had like 30 platters of cookies that we had made. Everybody we knew got a platter of cookies. Well, they were thrilled because these were homemade cookies, and it didn't cost us that much to make them, and they were unique and special. Another one that actually I was talking about last night with my new daughter-in-law's mom is the boxes of cereal for Christmas. I did not have money to buy boxes of cereal for my boys, and they just thought Cocoa Puffs and all these specialty cereals, you know, that normally I couldn't afford to buy and filled with sugar and everything anyway. I wasn't going to buy for them, but certainly store-bought cereal, that was very, very expensive. And so Christmas time, Santa brought boxes of cereal, and I didn't wrap them. I just lined it up, all these boxes of cereal. Well, what do the boys remember all these years later? They don't remember any of the other gifts, really, but they remember the boxes of cereal. So we're going to start that for the grandkids. And so what a simple little tradition, how easy and very cost-effective. Of course, going to relatives and building that tradition of let's go together, let's be there. Now, I was youth director in a church, so of course I was in church every Christmas Eve, and we started a live nativity with the youth group. So my boys were part of it. In fact, my baby on oxygen one year was baby Jesus, and he was laying in the creche. And we all laugh about that. Of course, he doesn't remember being that little baby Jesus, but there he was with his oxygen tank and all. But having people be part of things like that, setting up the luminarias around the church. We started that tradition at the church. Singing in choirs. I've always sung in a choir. Getting the kids into church. And this is what Christmas is all about. It's not about Santa Claus. It's about church. It's about the birth of Jesus. And so let's go to church. And there's nothing like a Christmas Eve service. And so definitely try to plan that. If you've never gone to a church before, have that be part of this year's tradition. You're all going to go as a family. Have your dinner before or afterwards. Sometimes they do children's services at 4 o'clock early in the afternoon, so you can go home and have dinner. Oftentimes churches will have a 7, 8 o'clock service, and of course then oftentimes 11 o'clock service to go into Christmas Day. But I hope church is part of your Christmas Eve tradition. Let's see. Another thing that I did as a child, my parents did for me, they got me new pajamas every year. So my poor boys, they weren't always new, but they were new to them because I always bought used things and washed them and ironed them. But they got new pajamas, and then they got to maybe open one gift on Christmas Eve from somebody. So that kind of became a tradition for us. Whatever it is, create it, have fun with it, and have it be your own. And now that my boys have gotten married, I say, well, take something that we did, something that your new wife has done with her family, and then create the third new tradition. So let's keep some of these traditions alive in our family and create new ones for you. Now, we are talking about Christmas right now, but I'm going to throw in Easter. This is a very inexpensive time of year for people that don't have money. Of course, you can dye the Easter eggs, get all the little plastic eggs and hide little things in them. You can get, pretty inexpensive candy. New Easter outfits. Now, my boys didn't have new clothes, and I haven't had new clothes in 30 plus years. Everything comes from thrift stores or yard sales. But get something new for them. Get it all washed, ironed, so they feel really good when they're going off. And then I had always heard about hot cross buns, and so I looked up that recipe, and I thought, wow. And my boys said, well, what are hot cross buns? You always know that song, Hot Cross Buns. So anyway, I found that recipe, and it's become our tradition, and we love them. They're absolutely delicious, so easy to make, and wonderful for Easter morning. So that's fun. Now, birthdays. Let's talk a little bit about birthdays because, again, I didn't have a lot of money for things. So we started a tradition of breakfast in bed. So the other boys and I would go and we would create the best breakfast that we could think of that particular son wanted. Did he want pancakes or waffles and cereal and eggs and you name it, we did it. And then we would all come in singing happy birthday to him and breakfast in bed. And my boys are still doing that with my grandchildren now. So that's kind of fun. And it makes everybody feel real special and everybody is part of that simple little tradition. Now, for birthday parties, did I have money to go take people off and get the big jumpers and go off for the pizza places and spend, a couple $100s on a birthday party? I didn't have it. So we did hikes. We did picnics. We did it overnight in the backyard. I oftentimes did overnights depending on the time of year, and two of my boys are born in December and January, and so we had to do, movies and stuff, but I made homemade pizzas. Well, you would have thought that kids didn't know that you could make a pizza. And I'd have all the different toppings out there, and every boy would get to make their own pizza, and they thought that was just the greatest thing in the world. It was the cheapest thing. It was cheaper than me even ordering pizza, because I made the dough and all the sauce. I mean, how simple is pizza? And the boys just thought it was great. And plus, it took a couple hours of time. So that was a very easy, very inexpensive thing to do. Of course, you could have your family and friends over for dinner. Going out for dinner is very expensive. And if it's a birthday, you could, oftentimes people say, can I bring something? Sure, invite it. And, and they can help you then with the cost of that. Cupcakes at school or work, that was a great thing to do. And of course, my boys, I baked a lot, and so all the boys' friends knew that if I were making homemade, they'd be homemade cupcakes or homemade cakes or whatever, and they were always thrilled about that. But it's simple and it's very inexpensive. Now, ideas for gift giving, and no matter what time of year, whatever you're looking for, shop a little at a time and always look for bargains. Christmas is coming every year. Easter's coming. Your boys' birthdays and your family's birthdays. They're coming, so look all year. For Christmas, I start looking on December 26th. Rarely do I buy new things, but sometimes if they're 90% off, and certainly a lot of things are at Christmas. Right after Christmas, you can get incredible bargains. I look for them. For children, they can get a job. There's nothing that says the kids can't get a job. We, at one point, had a whole bunch of Ecuadorian ornaments that were given to us. They had been in a fire, and somebody trusted us to sell them, and I got half the proceeds. Well, little boys and I, out selling Ecuadorian Christmas ornaments, we had a lot of Christmases on the money that we raised from the sale of those ornaments. Babysitting, even my boys did babysitting. They did yard work. Wash cars, lemonade stands, or all kinds of things that kids can do so that it's not just up to you, and make the kids be responsible for earning some of their own money. And avoid procrastination and perfection. If you think you're going to find the perfect gift, you're going to wait till Christmas Eve to go out and buy the perfect gift. Are you going to find that? You're going to find harried shoppers, and it's going to be a disaster, and you're going to spend far more than you ever would have spent in the first place, and you're not going to be happy with it. So don't procrastinate. Start looking early. If you need to ship something, and I try to avoid all shipping costs, because now, especially with the post office, and they're saying everything is going to be so slow, try not to do any of that. And you could order online, get free shipping, and if you have to do anything like that, I try not to do anything like that, because that gets expensive. And always start with a written list. Who do you need to give gifts to? And then I write down, okay, how much can I spend for Christmas? So divide it up. So my 4 boys, my grandkids now, my husband, who else do I need to have gifts for? And I write it all down. And then every time I get a gift, I write it down. Because if you don't, you're going to forget. How much did I pay for that thing? And then when I've reached a certain limit of whatever that budgeting amount is for that particular child, okay, that's all I can do. And then you keep track of what you bought too, because how many times do you buy something and you stuff it away and you think you're always going to find it? So I found when the boys were very young, I took a big suitcase that they didn't know was filled with gifts, and that's where I put all the gifts. And then I could hide it, and they weren't looking for things. Don't just start stuffing in corners and nooks and crannies, because you're going to find them 3 years later. And what did I buy this for? And you couldn't find it for Christmas. So put your gifts in a place that are going to be hidden, that the kids aren't going to find. Maybe it's a box that you kind of put a little X in the corner and put it out in the garage somewhere, or somewhere in your top closet or something where you can hide these things. And of course, handmade gifts. And in fact, I'm even wearing a pair of my earrings here. Last year, all the wing staff got a little pair of my little handmade earrings. And fun, simple little gift, but everybody enjoyed them, and I still wear them, and I hope they'll wear them this year too. Now, gifts for seniors. A question always comes up, oh my gosh, what am I going to get for grandma? What am I going to do for the seniors that have everything? Or now they've downsized and they moved into an assisted living or something like that. Well, here are some ideas. A photo album. I mean, who doesn't want pictures? Or maybe a collage of pictures and put it together. Maybe you could bake something special for them. That's where all our coffee breads and our cookies came in. Make a calendar. This weekend, I made a calendar. I've started this as a tradition of pictures that I've taken for the year, and I put it together for a calendar, and I'll give it out to all the families now. And we'll have pictures to remember this past year by, and over the years, that'll kind of give us a glimpse of, well, what were we doing back in 2021? Go to visit. A visit is a great gift, and that's far better than anything that you could do long distance if you can, even driving across town to go visit and spend a little bit of time with somebody. Write a letter of gratitude and what the person means to you. Don't wait till their death and then tell them at the graveside, boy, you were the best person and you inspired me to do these things. Tell them while they're living. Call, Skype, or send a video. There's so many things, and of course with Zoom now, Zoom is free for the first 45 minutes, my gosh, and get them hooked up so they can figure out how to do it, and do a Zoom call with them. Donate to a charity. Actually, somebody at church told me just the other day that all her birthday money, she was asking her family to give to Wings. That was so lovely. And there are so many charities out there, and all of us would appreciate any kind of donation. And then another really fun thing to do is to buy a gift card or pay for an event. Maybe there's something coming up around Valentine's Day, or maybe there's something around Easter. There's a special play or a special event that somebody that doesn't live here wants to attend, or a restaurant, their favorite restaurant. You can buy a gift card for that restaurant. There are so many things that you can do and get creative. Now, gift coupons. My boys did this all the time. I did this all the time. I had a father-in-law who had all the money in the world, but he didn't have my homemade cookies. So every year I would give him 12 coupons that he could redeem anytime. So about once a month when he ran out of cookies, he would give me a little coupon, and I'd know it's time to make some fresh homemade cookies. Well, how simple. The boys did this for each other. They did it for me. You get a sample of all these different things: breakfast in bed, homemade dinner, help with yard work, hike, picnic, lunch, a back massage. Who doesn't like that? A foot massage, movie night, game night, whatever. All these things, great ideas. It doesn't cost anything. It's just your time, and plus you get to spend time with that person. Now, plan early for Christmas and for anything else. Now, again, if you're dealing with incarceration has changed a lot of things. So don't expect that everything is going to be the same. You've had a huge loss. We've talked about loss during the holidays. Incarceration is a huge loss. And you might not have money to do you probably don't have money to do all the things that you used to do. So just understand that things are going to change. Maybe you do a drawing and you can only do a drawing for one child. Everybody picks out one name and that's all you get. And for your families, well, we always go to grandma's, or we always do this. Well, maybe you have to consider changing it because of incarceration. The community, the school, the church, the pressure on that all the kids have to give the teacher a gift. Well, maybe you're not going to go out and buy a gift. Maybe that is that platter of cookies or that loaf of bread or the handmade little card or something special that somebody is, your child is made for that teacher. And actually, they might treasure that more than anything that you could go out and buy. Loved ones in prison, the family, the guilt trip of the family has to visit. Again, don't put that pressure on yourself, and don't let them put that pressure on you. If you can't afford to do it, if your car is not going to make it, heaven forbid, don't get on the road. You don't want to break down and then have all those expenses. So talk it over and explain things. Again, we've talked about do not procrastinate. Make a list and talk about your holiday plans. Talk it over with your loved one that's away, that's incarcerated, that's gone off to school, military, wherever they are. Talk to them about it so everybody is up to speed about it, so they're not shocked on Christmas Eve when you say we're going to do something else. Talk about the hopes and the expectations with everybody. What do they want to accomplish this year? Write the dates on the calendar, just like I'm going up a week early to have Christmas now with my new daughter-in-law and my son with their family. Okay, Those are new dates I'm putting on the calendar. How exciting and how fun. But remember that don't put so many things on your calendar that you're so stressed and you have to go to every party and do every single thing, that then it doesn't become fun because then you're so stressed out about it. Relax and enjoy one another. The holidays are all about that. Just enjoying each other, family, and the people that you treasure. I'm going to share a little bit about Christmas Eve at the city jail. And this is something that I did back in 2005. I had gone in and I was doing some training with some of the guys out there a couple months before, and I said, oh, Christmas is coming. What are you going to do? Sleep, sleep, sleep. They all cross their arms, sleep. Everybody sleeps. I said, well, you can't sleep. It's Christmas Eve. So anyway, I challenged to do some things. We brainstormed, and here's some of the things that they did. They decorated their cells. They took, you could see icicles there. I couldn't find what they had done. They took the clear strips of paper and they shredded it and they hung all those strips of the plastic bags, the clear plastic bags, and hung it all around to look like icicles. They created a Christmas Eve worship service. The chaplain wasn't coming in. They said, nobody comes in on Christmas. I said, well, you're all here. Somebody had the Bible. This guy created the whole story, read all the scripture passages. It was incredible. They sang Christmas carols. One guy took toilet paper. He made 31 copies and he wrote down, I think, 3 or 4 different Christmas carols. And it was really cute because he didn't know all the words. Who cares? They had these toilet paper pieces of Joy to the World and Silent Night, and I don't know what else he had written down. And handwritten, made 31 copies for each of the little pods. On Christmas Day, I said, well, my gosh, it's going to be Christmas Day. You could shake each other's hand. You could give each other a hug. And another guy said, well, we could share our phone cards. So they shared their phone cards. Then, you all get, a lot of people get the Christmas baskets and the commissary stuff. And so they had chips and they had some salsa. And they said the hot water was so hot. So they took the clear plastic bags, they put everything in there. They tore up some little sausages and put it in with the cheese. They melted it. They made queso. And they had this big trash can filled with all this stuff. And they shared their chips. And one guy said it was almost like communion. They were dipping their chip into this queso and all eating their chips and sharing with one another. It was so exciting to go in on the 26th because all the guys said, I sleep. I've been in prison 28 years. All I do is sleep on Christmas. This guy was almost jumping up and down. He was so excited. And he told me they had started their service, and then they went into a lockdown, and then they dimmed all the lights. And the one guy said, and then we went to our keyholes and we started singing through the keyholes, and you could hear the singing echoing throughout the prison. And he said, we kept singing and singing. We sang most of the night. These guys had a Christmas. They created their own. You don't have to wait for somebody else to do this for you. So this is my contact information. I'm going to share a few things that we have on our website. So if you go to our website at wingsfly.org, you will find a placemat that we have that goes along with this with questions, all kinds of gift-giving manners and ideas. So we've got that. Then this is something that I've done at my house. When I have people coming over for dinner, I have these little cards. It's 10 to a page, and it says, I am thankful for, and it has the name and the date on it. And what's really fun is then you just cut these, and so they've got a little piece of paper, and I put them in a basket. And then, of course, with COVID, I haven't had as many people over, but I still have had a few people over. And then you could pull that out at Thanksgiving or different times out of the year and remember what people said they're thankful for. We also have something it's fun holidays around the world. So what do different people, how do they celebrate it at different places around the world? So you can read about that. That's another resource that we have on the website. Then this is ideas to make a healthy and fun Christmas break. So what are you going to do with your kids? They're off for 2.5 weeks. What are you going to do with them? We got all kinds of ideas here. And if you say, well, I can't make up those coupons. They look so pretty, and boy, they look so nice. Well, guess what? We've got a coupon sheet here, and you could print it out, And you could have your kids cut them, and they could make up their own, but if they don't, you could just cut these out. They're ready to go. And then if you really want to read the details about Christmas Eve at the city jail, it's right here. It'll be on our website, and you could read all the details. So if you've got a loved one incarcerated, you could share what these guys did. This was at the jail in Albuquerque. And my gosh, any prison around the world, they could do the very same thing. So I hope you've gotten a few ideas here, because Christmas or Thanksgiving or birthdays or whatever the holiday is, it's not about the gifts. If you ask yourself, what did I get? What was my favorite gift? Do you really remember your favorite gift? But if you say, well, how did you celebrate Christmas? Or how did you do these holidays? It's always about people, and it's about memories. And so create those memories. Give the opportunity to create relationships with people, and invite people that you love to be with you. And the rest of the people, don't include them, because it's a time about celebration with loved ones. Now, you know I always like to close with a story, so I'm going to close with a story. And this is an email friend and a phone friend. I've never met her in person. She lives in Virginia. But she wrote a poem for this year, for 2021. It's so beautiful, and it's dedicated to a friend of hers, Christine Joy Thomas Deppie. And it's called A Christmas to Cherish. And when I got it through the email, I thought, I have to share that this year, because it's so beautiful. So here we go. Christmas is a time to cherish. It's become so clear to me. It's more than festive lights and carols or the gifts beneath the tree. Each and every Christmas season has traditions new and old, and moments we should always treasure that are far more precious than gold. Let's slow down the hectic pace and take the time to cherish folks while they're close and by your side. Make some memories you'll forever carry in your heart and in your mind. For those are priceless and will always be the greatest gifts you'll ever find. Yes, Christmas is a time to cherish our Savior, our family, our friends. May you find his joy in every moment and his love that never ends. And this was written by Marissa Lee Kelly. And it's particularly meaningful to me this year because one of my sons passed away this year, and he will not be with us. And so I'm going to treasure all the years that I've had with him and look forward to creating new memories with all my loved ones this year. And I hope you will do the same. So I hope you have a very blessed and sacred Christmas. And if you are joining us through Zoom, stay on, because we are going to go to breakout rooms. But if you are with us on Facebook or YouTube, this will be the end of the program. So thanks, everybody. Hope you'll join us. Next week, we've got a couple that are going to come in and talking about starting your own business, all the joys and the challenges. So join us next week, 6 o'clock. So thanks, everybody, and good night.